Big news out of Edmonton today is they finally named the spot for their vacant general manager spot held by the former intern GM Jeff Jackson. Before getting who was named, all the breakdown from the press conference there. Make sure to subscribe to Oilers Digest, as 90% of you have not yet subscribed to the channel, so make sure to follow the ride as we get into some more Oiler breaking news there is when it comes to the new GM spot, multiple management spots being filled, contract extensions, all that jazz. Make sure to stay tuned here to the channel as we get into that. But firstly, yes, Mr. Bowman goes to Edmonton. A few days ago, we had a video saying there was a tweet that Mark Hunter was going to be the new GM, and then Stan Bowman would just be in an executive role as an advisor to the GM. But that turned out to be false, as they've named Stan Bowman the new general manager and executive vice president of hockey operations. I don't know what you're thinking. What are the Oilers doing? We'll get into that later. I don't even know what they're doing, to be honest, at this point. But if you don't know who Stan Bowman is, of course, he's the son of legendary coach Scotty Bowman. The 51-year-old served as director of hockey ops, and he was the assistant GM for the Chicago Blackhawks before being promoted to GM in 2009, overseeing the teams that won Stanley Cups in 2010, 2013, and 2015. Of course, he took over for Dale Talon, who sort of built that dynasty team, or the blueprint for that team, and then Bowman took over, and then the Hawks won those 3 cups. And when it comes to Jeff Jackson, on his thoughts on Stan Bowman, he says, "I'm excited and pleased to be welcoming Stan to the Edmonton Oilers. I believe his vast experience and proven success in this role, together with the important work he has done in his time away from the game, fits our goal of being best in class when it comes to all facets of our organization. Through many conversations, we share a common vision of where we are as a team and what is required to achieve another Stanley Cup title." Now, I know Jeff Jackson, he was fine as an intern GM, built all that goodwill for the Oilers throughout the summer, and then sort of tanked it with the hiring of Stan Bowman, but we'll cover that later. But, sort of getting into the rest of the press conference there, before we get into that, actually there was an Athletic article by Mark Lazarus there. He is the beat writer for the Chicago Blackhawks, so he's been all over this. When it came to the Kyle Beach scandal, of course, that was the controversial cover-up there by the Blackhawks organization in the spring of 2010 en route to their Stanley Cup championship that year. But seeing here, Bowman was reinstated by the NHL on July 1st, along with former Blackhawks executive Al McIsaac and head coach Joel Quenneville, with the league saying that each was eligible to work again after demonstrating remorse and using the time away to participate in programs that focused on the importance of responding in effective and meaningful ways to address alleged acts of abuse. Of course, in the spring of 2010, Kyle Beach had, reported what is going on, and then management kind of swept that under the rug when it came to the video coach Brad Aldrich. I can tell you in this room and everyone watching, as well as something I've said directly to Kyle Beach, Bowman added on that my response was inadequate back in 2010, who added that he called Beach on Tuesday night to give him a heads up that he's being hired in Edmonton. "I didn't handle things properly. I should have done more, and that's something I regret, and it's something that I've had a chance to reflect on and try to learn from." And then adding on, there was also a work here with Sheldon Kennedy that Stan Bowman did go on to do complete last year. Former NHLer Sheldon Kennedy, co-founder of the Respect Group, it trains Canadians on their roles and responsibilities to prevent bullying, abuse, harassment, and discrimination. They released a statement earlier last week saying that he worked closely with Bowman on several initiatives, and that the former Chicago GM was part of presentations for the Respect Charter pilot program. Said, "I was immediately struck by Stan's genuine care and concern for Kyle, being Kyle Beach, and what could have been done differently," Kennedy said. "During that period, we almost spoke daily about the seriousness of sexual abuse from the victim's perspective. We didn't talk about hockey at all. We focused on what went wrong, what he could have done differently, and most importantly, what could have been done to prevent this from happening again." And now that sort of seems, Sheldon Kennedy, he's been huge in the role of, the sexual abuse, scandals in hockey. Of course, he was with the Graham James, with the junior, the Swift Current Broncos there in the early 90s and late 80s, of course, along with Theo Fleury there. If you haven't read Theo Fleury's book regarding that, it's tremendous. But adding on here, Bowman said that he hopes to use his new platform to improve the culture both within the Oilers organization and in the hockey world at large. He says, I want to change. He said, what I really believe in is there's an ability to make change and to learn from situations and to grow from them. That's what I look at. What happened to Sheldon Kennedy, and what happened to Kyle is terrible. Fortunately, that's not as common as other things that happen on teams. Harassment, hazing, bullying is pretty common. We want to get rid of all of it. Of course, yeah, hazing and all of that goes on a lot more than you think in the world of junior hockey. Of course, just take any Google, and then there's been lots of scandals, lots of court cases regarding hazing in hockey, and then hockey culture on its own kind of sucks. But it's good to know that Stan is trying to be a better person. Of course, I'm not really buying it 100%. If he would have had remorse, 14 years ago when this all originally went down. You can let me know in the comments what you think about this whole situation here. I'm not even on the fence. I'm just against it entirely. Of course, he's trying to make goodwill with the Oilers organization, but the summer that this team has had when it comes to getting so close to the top of the mountain there against the Florida Panthers, and with the phenomenal free agency that they've had so far, they just kind of took that all away with the Bowman hiring there. But when it came to contract talks there, with the hockey side of things, he was asked about contract extensions. Bowman said, Leon's a star player. He's top priority for me. I want Leon to be an Oiler for life. He's a fantastic player. I've enjoyed watching him play, and I think that's what sets him and Connor apart from pretty much anyone else in the game. They're certainly stars, but they're the rare breed that can elevate their game in the playoffs. They're clearly a big part of what we're doing, but it takes a team to win. And that, again, that kind of makes me question, if I'm a free agent and I see Stan Bowman in Edmonton, how safe would I truly feel? I mean, when it came to Kyle Beach and the entire Chicago Blackhawk team, including a guy like Duncan Keith, who was an Oiler, and I was against that from the start, and still kind of iffy about that whole ordeal in Edmonton. But again, if I'm a free agent, or I've got Edmonton as a destination, would that sort of drop down my list? Would it not change at all? And when it comes to Leon, Connor, and Evan Bouchard, you can see that Stan Bowman in his time in Chicago tried his hardest to keep that entire core together. Of course, he had to get rid of a few key pieces that would go on to be stars somewhere else. A guy like Artemi Panarin, traded for Brandon Saad, and making all these interesting deals to keep the team together, like the Tane and Kays deal, the Duncan Keith deal that he did, that eventually Edmonton did bail him out with Ken Holland there, or the Keith Seabrook deal. So when it comes to keeping the team together, I have no doubts when he did that in Chicago, but it was the way he did it, and it was the way he sort of handled himself on his way out of Chicago that I wasn't a big fan of. Let me know down in the comments, I should say. This whole situation has me all flustered. I'm sure you're as puzzled as I am about this whole ordeal. Let me know down in the comments what you think about the new hiring of Stan Bowman. Are you willing to give him a second chance? Are you done watching the Oilers for now? I know there's a few people I know of that have said yes, they are done, and rightfully so. I mean, when an organization makes this type of decision, it kind of, makes you think, okay, do they really care about their fans? Let me know down in the comments. Have yourselves a great day. I'm Matt.